Hey guys, it's Matt again here with the Negotiator's Playbook, and welcome to my lesson on social proof. As you recall, this is one of the set of lessons that we are doing on attraction switches. And as you guys recall, attraction switches are basically, they are some conscious switches that are in your mind that cause you to act one way or another. They're hardwired, and the great thing is they're not a choice. So as you learn to use these, one of the things that you'll find out is it makes the process of selling or just being in sales and having awesome results a lot easier, and you don't even necessarily have to work as hard to get to that point. So let's talk about social proof today. What exactly is social proof? Well, social proof is basically a huge shortcut that people take when they need to make a decision and they're not sure how to act. And within social proof, there's a number of different ways that social proof can be leveraged. So why is it important in your business? Well, a couple reasons. One, nobody knows about this. Very few people even use it, and in the sales world, pretty much nobody knows about this. So in implementing this, you're going to be light years ahead of your competition, and you're going to be employing methods that will enable your customers to really get to know you and want to buy from you a lot easier, a lot more enthusiastically, with, virtually none of the skepticism, and you don't even have to work as hard. So for those of you guys out there who just honestly are lazy like me and you want to get really good results, this is definitely something that you want to pay attention to. So let's get started. Again, social proof basically is a huge shortcut that your customers take when they're trying to make a decision. Now, what's the opposite of that? Well, they could go on and they could look up whatever you're selling, and they could go on Google and they could spend the next 6 hours to 3 weeks looking up every little facet, all the specs, all the prices, all the benefits, breaking out an Excel chart, adding point values, and trying to figure out which one wins. Maybe you guys have friends that do that. I don't. And point blank, people are not going to be willing to do that. So what do? Well, they look to see what others are doing and what society tells them to do when they make a decision. Okay, so there's a couple different types of social proof that we're going to be talking about today. Now, where do we see social proof in action? Well, there's a number of different places that you see it, whereas most people don't even necessarily know much about it or understand it, but you definitely see it every day in our lives. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. Oprah Winfrey had on her show, she had a book club. And every time that she would go up and she would hold the book up, the cash register would ring. Immediately that author would be a bestseller and would be at the top of the New York Times list. They'd be making tons of money, and instantly they'd find fame and fortune. But why is that? Well, basically, people look to Oprah as a driving force in deciding what they wanted to do. She was their focus point of social proof. So the minute that if you're an author and you get a book and then your book is held up by Oprah, credit cards are out, phone numbers are being dialed, mouses are being clicked, and your bank account is being filled. That's what I want to do for you guys today. I want to teach you the methods and the science behind social proof so you really understand what it is, how to really leverage it in your business, and how to really make the best use of it. So let's get started. First type of social proof that I want to talk to you guys about today is what I call expert social proof. So what exactly is expert social proof and how does it work? Especially, how can it work in your business? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Basically, when you're viewed as an expert in somebody's eyes, they're immediately going to start taking your word for the things that, the opinions you have and the takes that you have on something. For example, if you have a doctorate in microeconomics and you're out with a group of people and that particular topic comes up, you're going to have an opinion and said, yeah, well, I actually got my doctorate in this particular area, and this is one of the things I learned. What people are not going to do is they're not going to go, okay, well, yeah, he has his doctorate, but I just have my opinion, and I'm sure I'm right, and I'm probably more correct than a guy who spent, 6 figures and more years in school than I can count on this particular area. I mean, nobody does that. But rather, they're going to say, wow, this guy has a, has a doctorate in this area. He must be right. But what's even better about it is that there's a concept called the halo effect. So it's not one particular item that they believe you on, but it's everything surrounding that particular level of expertise that you have in their eyes. So if you're talking about, if you're an expert in one field, it's just not that one field that they're going to have expertise in, but it's anything interrelated to that. And that is huge because it's not just this narrow band, but people start to look at you as an expert in general, and any opinion you have is valid based off of the original point that they viewed you as an expert in. Now, question is, that's great, Matt. I don't have a PhD in economics. Well, you don't need to. In fact, you don't even need to have a college degree at all. You could have a GED and have no problem implementing this in your business. Well, how? Well, it's pretty easy. Okay, there's a couple things that you can do in your business that, to be honest, most people are just too lazy to do, or they just haven't thought about it. Now, I can't do anything about the laziness part for you, but I can, I am showing you this right now, and this is something that most people just don't have access to. So I definitely urge you to to take advantage of this, to think about it, to take some notes, and to ask yourself, how can I actually take down some of these ideas and use them in my business? So we're going to talk about a couple ideas that I've used personally before in my business, and I've seen a lot of other people use them, and it dramatically makes a big difference in one, the results you get, but two, it completely almost eliminates any need to have to sell anybody anything ever again. Now, the first thing that you can do to really create this expertise in your customer's mind is to become a speaker. Now, does that mean that you have to be, talking in front of 30,000 people, traveling the world, trying to emulate Tony Robbins, getting people to walk over fire? Absolutely not. What it does mean, though, is instead of just working way too hard for very little results, just trying to sell every single person one-on-one, what it means is you want to get in front of groups of people. You want to be, whether it's 6 people or 6,000 people. When you're in front of a group of people, they immediately know that you're an expert. How do they know? Have they verified your educational background? No, they haven't. In fact, they probably don't know anything about you. But the fact that you're in front of a group of people, that you've been vouched for in front of somebody where you're the one chosen to speak on a particular topic, immediately reminds you are the expert. In fact, not only are you the expert, but you really didn't need to do a whole lot to get that expert title. Now, the question is, how can you do that? Well, honestly, the options are everywhere. You can speak to community organizations, church groups, parent-teacher associations. Anywhere that there's an opportunity to get in front of people, you can definitely do that. And I got to tell you, without going into a lot of detail, there's people that are looking for people like you and pretty much just begging themselves to try to find somebody like you that can help them basically bring people in or build kind of some type of community organization. And in a sense, you're helping them. So they're going to welcome you in. But immediately, you're the expert. So you're not in front of 6 people trying to sell all 6 people. You're in front of 6 people who think that you're the expert, whether you are or not. And immediately you have that kind of social proof in their eyes. Now, the second one is to become a leader, is to become the leader in a particular field. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's a couple ways you can do that. One, you can do it the really hard and dumb way, which is basically working your butt off and hoping that your results are so phenomenal that people will see your results and they're going to quantifiably evaluate you and say, wow, these are his results, and therefore I should do business with them. Well, honestly, that's stupid. Why would you do that? Why would you do that when it's that much harder, when you can do something that's easier and really doesn't require, virtually no work on your own? One of the things that I have friends of mine that do, and they do this exact same thing, is they go and do media interviews. Now, it could be a local newspaper, it could be a television station, it could be internet radio, it could be terrestrial radio. It really doesn't matter. But I can tell you this right now, is there are tons of people out there just looking for content, looking for people to interview. There's people that on the radio, if a particular topic is coming up and they want to talk about it, they want to have somebody who's an expert in that field, or even just somebody that they can, quote, interview as an expert in that field. But the great thing for you is that you don't necessarily have to be the expert. The only thing you have to be, and this is really easy, it's super inexpensive, available. By doing that, you can, like I said, you can appear on a radio show, a podcast, a television show. You could, be somebody interviewed by a newspaper. Shoot, you could even have your own guest column in a newspaper. And immediately you're the expert. I'll give you an example of this, and this to me was always really powerful. Out here in San Diego, there's a guy who's known as, quote, the lawyer in blue jeans. Now, I can tell you this. I don't know anything about the guy besides the fact that I assume he wears blue jeans. I don't know where he went to school. I don't know how long he's been a lawyer. To be honest, I don't even know if he's bar certified. But what I do know is he's on the radio all week, and he's on television once a week. And everybody that hears his name immediately thinks this guy's an expert. Maybe he is. Maybe he really knows what he's talking about. Maybe he's a superlative lawyer. Or maybe he's just a guy getting interviewed. But it doesn't even matter, because in the eyes of the people here, they hear his name and immediately they think, wow, that's the lawyer in blue jeans. I'm going to listen to everything he says. Another example nationally is Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz is the same thing. He could sit here and tell you X, Y, and Z about medicines you should take or supplements you should take. And I don't know where Dr. Oz went to college. I don't know where he went his degree. I don't know if his medical license is even still valid. But what I do know is he's on TV. There's millions of people that watch him. That is something that you can harness, but you can't do it by traditional ways of selling. In other words, waiting for a lead or calling them up or visiting them or doing that type of thing. You need to build a name for yourself. Now you have a choice. You could do that the hard way and you could spend all kinds of time, effort, money, blood, sweat, and tears doing it, or you could just make it really easy and have somebody else do the talking for you, and next thing you know, you're an expert in their eyes. Now, the next area of social proof I want to talk to you about is what I call celebrity social proof. And what this means is that people have just an innate desire to be like those people that they idolize or that they really, really admire. Now, a celebrity might be a TV celebrity, it might be a sports star, it might be an author, it might be a journalist. It really could be anybody. But people feel the need that they want to identify with these type of people. One of the reasons why this is so powerful is because, when you have that identification with a particular person, it validates your ego so that you can be like this person, or you can like the same type of food, or just have any type of commonality. Immediately, you sense them, they're at a higher social value than you, but yet they're similar to you in one way or another. Some examples how people do this is you have people that sign up for charity golf tournaments. And yeah, they might go for golf, and they might go for drinking on the cart and everything like that. But realistically, they're there. A lot of people that I've met are there for the pictures. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that they sign up for this charity golf tournament, and they might play with Michael Jordan or Marshall Faulk or whomever it is. And at the end of it, or sometime during the round, they get a picture with them. They get that picture, and it goes up on their wall. And one, it is for other people to see, but really it's for themselves. It's saying, hey, I'm a friend of Marshall Faulk, or I hang out with all these celebrities. And it validates their ego. It validates their social worth. The second area, and the second reason why this works is a concept called your extended self. And basically what this means is that it's not just who's around you that validates you, but it's even the things that they're associated with. A perfect example of this, for those who watch Seinfeld, is there was an episode where George had Jon Voight's pen, and it had his teeth marks in it. Or it wasn't his pen, it was his pencil. And George was so enamored with the fact that he had Jon Voight's pencil, and it just made him so feel good about himself. He had a connection to this famous actor. I mean, forget the fact that it wasn't even the right Jon Voight, and forget the fact that it was just this little pencil. The fact that there was a connection to that celebrity in his eyes was huge, and it immediately made him feel better and of a higher value as a person. Another really good example of this that you'd see, especially if you read magazines or some other things, are celebrity endorsements. Whether it's Gatorade or basketball shoes or really anything, people want a connection to their favorite athlete. So whether it's, Leo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt or John Travolta, and they're shown wearing a particular watch of choice, it immediately people want to be a part of that. They want to have John Boyd's pencil, or they want to have the watch that Brad Pitt wears or Leo wears, or they want to drink the same drink that somebody drinks, or wear the same basketball shoes that LeBron James wears. Because it's immediately, one, it's a connection to that person, but two, it immediately makes them feel better about themselves. That extended self gets raised as far as what the social value is. So why is celebrity social proof really important to your business? I mean, you're not necessarily a celebrity, I assume, or you're not going to have a network TV show, although you never know, you might. Well, actually, it's really important. And I'm going to give you an example of a company that really uses it to their advantage the same way that you can use it to your advantage, and that's Rolls-Royce. Now, you might be asking me, Matt, what are you talking about? Rolls-Royce? What does that have to do with my business? Well, actually, it has everything to do with your business. Rolls-Royce, I'm not sure if anybody of you know, and I actually, when I found this out, it kind of surprised me as well. Rolls-Royce is actually owned by BMW. I actually thought, it should be the other way around. I mean, Rolls-Royce is higher end, but nonetheless, it's owned by BMW. So they basically make two cars. You make a BMW that's, typically goes for about $50,000, maybe a little bit more. And then you have Rolls-Royce that goes for $250,000. Now, granted, both of them have four wheels. They both have really, really high-end parts. They're both known for quality, and they're both made by the same company. So what really accounts for the $200,000 difference in their price? Well, the first question is there $200,000 of difference as far as the parts and machinery that goes into Rolls-Royce? Now, granted, the interiors are way better. They probably use materials that are a lot harder to find. But really, does that equate to $200,000 difference in price? Well, I think the answer should be obvious to all of us, and the answer is no. So that begs the question, well, why can they sell it for $250,000 if the sum of its parts aren't anywhere near that? Well, that's where the simple answer comes in, and that's where the application in your business comes in. It's because it's Rolls-Royce. Because Rolls-Royce has a name, a cachet, that is so strong that it drives the intrinsic value of the vehicle that they manufacture way up. And people are willing to pay $250,000 for a Rolls-Royce. Now, my question to you is, are you experiencing that same dynamic in your business? In other words, are people hearing your name and your business and saying, I definitely would pay this amount to do business with you? If not, then this is something that you really need to take heed in. And to be honest, you probably need to rewind this and play it a few times just so that you can really, really let this go really deep into your mind. Intrinsic value is what's going to really make a difference in your business from a couple standpoints. One, if you have high intrinsic value, you're not going to have people that are skeptical of you. I mean, nobody goes into a Rolls-Royce dealership and starts kicking the tires and wondering about the quality of the vehicle. I mean, they go in there because they're going to go buy a Rolls-Royce, and they're not thinking twice about it if they're in there. The second is this, is you can afford to raise your price, and you're still going to get customers because they're going to have this high value in their mind, and it will equate to the high price. So that's going to make sense in your customer's mind. You're not going to have to say the word price drop anymore, or discount anymore, or rebate anymore, because people that have a business with a cachet like Rolls-Royce or any other high-end, high-demand product, they don't deal in discounts. I mean, the price is the price, and if you don't want to buy it, that's fine, but there's a line out the door of people that will. And it really makes people question the ability, it makes people question whether or not they're going to be missing out on what they have here. So again, when it comes to celebrity social proof, you may be thinking, okay, well, that's not something that I'm going to be able to do in my business. But to be honest, the people that are charging high-end prices in your industry, they're doing this. But The sad thing is they don't even probably know what or why they're doing it, but they're doing it. Now, you can come from a point where you could be a newcomer on the scene, or maybe you're not even as well versed in a particular area, but if you can really leverage this in your business, one, you can afford to charge more, two, you're going to have higher retention customers, and three, people are going to clamor to your business and they're not going to be giving you objections anymore. So when your manager tells you that you need to overcome objections and do X, Y, and Z, that's just a sign right there that they're not aware of this, and that you can finally free yourself from ever having to go through all these machinations to try to get a sale when your customers can actually be drawn to you. Now, the third type of social proof that I want to talk to you guys about today is what I call user social proof. And what this means that somebody's making that shortcutted decision not because you're an expert and not because you have some social position that they want to be a part of, but because of the people who have used your product. Now, you might be saying, well, Matt, I have people that are testimonials and I have people that will vouch for me, and that's great. Why do I need this? Well, you need it because people aren't stupid. People are not idiots. They're not morons. And to be honest, they can see through that. Anytime you go to a website and you see, a couple testimonials that are written down, well, yeah, I expect any business, no matter how bad the service is, you're going to have people that like them. I mean, not everybody 100% loves you, and not everybody 100% hates you. You're always going to have people that are on both sides of the spectrum. So when you see that, you're like me, you see that, you expect to see it. It doesn't exactly impress you. It's not really going to make any difference in what you do. So what do you do to combat that? What do you do to overcome that? Well, a couple things. There's kind of two elements in here that really, if you understand them and really implement them the right way in your business, can be really, really powerful. And it actually will make you stand way out from all the other people that think that these two bland, short testimonials that they have are going to make all the difference in the world, and their customers are going to come in flocks to them and do business over and over just because of two people's little blurbs you throw on their website. Well, the first one is storytelling. And this is probably one of the lost arts in business. Storytelling is really important because every single thing that we believe, every social tradition, every moray or value that we have has born out of a story. People love stories. It's the reason we DVR things on TV. We want to be a part of these. It's the reason we go to the movies. Even kids. The way that we teach things is through stories. The reason that stories are so powerful is because people can feel a part of it. It's like they can jump into the story and really get a sense, not just to know what's going on, but to feel what's going on. So what does that mean for your business? Well, what it doesn't mean for your business is just saying, hey, I saved, my customers 10%, or I saved Jim 10%. Big frickin' deal. Nobody cares about that. Maybe Jim just happened to be in this weird situation where it worked out for him, but really nobody can relate to something like that. But instead, what you can do is really learn how to tell a story, weave a story. And when you can do that, one, you're going to really wrap people in there because they're going to really identify with not just the person that you're telling a story about, but everything involved with them. So let's say you're an insurance agent and you're trying to sell a policy. You could say, I have somebody in your neighborhood and I saved them, $100 on their policy last year. Don't do that. Okay, you can do that, work hard, not make any money, that's your call. But if you can learn to tell a story about maybe somebody that, had a policy with you, or even a friend of yours, and, their house appraised over the last, 10 years, but they never really had their insurance up to date. The fact that one, you made a phone call and upped their insurance right before their either house burned down or something happened. And all of a sudden now, instead of having a situation where, they were going to be out tons of money, or, they were basically going to be stuck in a situation that really would have been, disaster for them. But because you came in and saved the day, it really made a big difference. Or maybe you sell, copy machines, and basically you had somebody come in and basically, you had to get something printed, and the last one, the last copier was kind of hit and miss, and you had a big presentation, you had to print things out, and you had like no notice, right? And you had to get these things printed out in like 4 minutes, and this brand new copier machine that basically you supplied to your customer, it was much faster, cleaner, and better printing. You were able to get this done and not have the headache that they had with the other one. Again, people are much more likely to buy when they can see themselves in a situation where there's payroll or there's drama or there's uncertainty. And basically, you get to be the superhero and you get to come in and save the day. Now, can you learn to tell stories immediately if you're not a good storyteller? No, probably not. But it is an area that you do need to work on. And we're going to be talking about that in the future in another lesson. But storytelling is massive. Now, the second is testimonials. We kind of alluded to the fact that everybody with a business just always has a couple pet testimonials. And in the end, nobody really believes them because they expect them to be there. I mean, would anybody really still be in business if you didn't have any customers that said one or two nice things about you? No. So to be honest, it blends in the background and people just don't even see it anymore. So what do you do? Well, I'll tell you what you can do. There's a friend of mine in Austin. He has a company called the Elevation Group, and on his website, it's not just one or two testimonials, but there's a honeycomb of testimonials. But they're not just written testimonials; they're videos that people made themselves, and they really talk about the specific personal difference that this person made in their lives. And the testimonials are great. I mean, it's great to see video of people making testimonials and everything, but that's not the powerful part of it. The powerful part of it is that it's what I call a wall of honor. Is when you'll look on it and there's just a bunch of testimonials there, and in your mind, if you click on there, it's going to be awesome. So, but even before you click on it, you know what you're going to have coming. So you go ahead and you hit the play button, and you hear this testimonial, and it really is moving. I mean, basically, the person is doing their storytelling for you. The video ends, and then you look and you realize there's just a bunch more there. And your mind immediately processes subconsciously, wow, all of these are going to be like that. I know what's coming, and it's basically, it's overwhelming. In the FBI, they call it, they call it overwhelming force. And it's overwhelming because your brain just immediately says, I know what's coming. It tries to basically self-predict, and it knows what's coming. Now, my question to you in your business is, do you have a wall of honor set up in your business? And if you don't, you really need to consider doing it. And it's not just a particular testimonial, but it's getting just an absolute sheer volume of people who are doing a massive amount of storytelling to you. And what's going to happen is the people, whether it's after one video or after 6 videos, they're going to see this and say, wow, this guy has been socially pre-screened. This guy has been vouched for by people from all different walks of life and ages and demographics. And he is safe to do business with. And not only is he safe to do business with, but I can completely see myself being on this wall of honor. And they start to place themselves on there wondering, man, what's life going to be like when I do business with this guy? Well, I know what it's going to be like. I'm going to be just like these people. And you know what? These people are probably checking out your business while you're sleeping. Now, let's compare that with putting the 2 little written blurbs from your favorite 2 customers on there, and look at what the difference is. It's huge. It's completely night and day. And what's going to happen is this: instead of you having to pander and peddle your wares to your people and aggressively try to sell them and try to overcome their objections and do all the things that your sales trainer told you to do, instead, they're going to come to you, vetted out, pre-screened, ready to buy, credit card in hand, and all they want you to do is just give them the green light. And that is why using this type of social proof, the user social proof, immediately makes your business easier, and it can, basically bring in more customers, allow you to charge more money, and not even work as hard. Now, the last type of social proof that I want to talk to you guys about today is my personal favorite. And I call it crowd wisdom. And basically what it means is when you are trying to make that decision again and you're trying to figure out what to do, it's not just that you look to an expert or that you're looking to somebody to validate your ego, or even that you're looking to be just really impressed by the people that have been prior customers and current customers, obviously. But you're looking to basically go along with the crowd. I mean, people don't want to be on their own. I mean, if you're a buyer of anything, whether it's insurance or you're a purchaser in your company or anything, the last thing that you want to do is make a decision where somebody questions that decision and basically thinks you're an idiot and a moron. I mean, nobody wants to do that, because then you go back and they're like, what were you thinking? That's stupid. And you're just standing there holding the bag with nothing to say, and you get madder and madder and madder by the minute. So what do people do? Well, they choose the safe route. They choose not. They don't choose the path less taken. They choose the beaten path. Why do they do that? Because not that they're looking to make this incredible purchase that they've never thought of before and it's an absolute steal and everything, but they just are absolutely dreadfully afraid of looking bad in other people's eyes. But beyond that, people have an innate sense of missing out. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example of something that you and I see every single day. So let's say you're out with a few friends of yours. You're out having, some iced teas and dinner, what have you. Inevitably, somebody is going to do this. Somebody's going to whip out their phone and check something. Now, we don't know if they're checking if they missed a call, a text message, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, email, sports scores, news. It really doesn't matter. But somebody's going to whip out that phone. Now, the question that I want to pose to you is this, is why, if you're out with all your friends and you're exactly where you want to be, do you feel the need to whip out your phone? I mean, one, it's a huge societal no-no. I mean, basically people are looking at you thinking, what are you doing? We're right here, but you do that. Well, why do people do that? Well, probably the same reason that people text and drive. Now, I'm not getting into that topic too much, but basically we have people on the road every day, and you may or may not be one of them, that basically risks their life and my life on the road to check your phone. Well, why is that? Well, because we live in this hugely connected world. We feel that if we're gone for a half hour, we need to make sure we're not missing out on anything. And that is an absolute compulsive need. It's not something you think about. It's not something you weigh the pros and cons on, usually. You might weigh how much you look at it in your car, but generally people are doing that one way or another. But it's a compulsive need to stay connected, and it's a fear of missing out. And if you really want to have an understanding of how deep and strong this is, the next time you drive in your car, if you're one of these people that is on your phone, please don't drive next to me, but if you do that, put your phone down. Just lay it down and just commit to the fact that you're not going to touch that phone the whole time. And I'm not sure what the over-under is, but you're going to see within a matter of minutes, you're going to feel that phone calling you, and it's going to rationalize something small, like, oh, I just want to check I didn't miss a call, maybe my phone's on vibrate, maybe I missed a text message, or oh, I just need to check if Facebook or whatever. And next thing you know, you're fully on your phone, multitasking, aka risking your life, all because you don't want to miss out. That's how strong it is. I mean, this is totally huge. In fact, it's so huge that people will absolutely disrupt their life to ensure that this fear of missing out doesn't occur. And a perfect example of that is Apple. Now, before Apple was around, if people had a new phone, yeah, they'd go buy a phone, or if they had a phone, or do what they did. Well, and then the iPod and the iPhone came out, and it was a complete life changer. Now, every single time they have one of those new products come out, there are people sleeping on the street the night before so they can be the first in line to get that product the next morning. Now, let me repeat that. People are voluntarily being homeless and vagrants overnight for the chance to buy something that they already own. Just think about that for a minute. Why do people do that? Well, there's a cachet to being the first person having that. If you're the first person with the new iPhone or really whatever product it is, they want to be the first person to have that so they can kind of show it off to their friends. And they know that if they don't sleep on that street the night before, then they're not going to be part of that group and their ego is not going to get validated. And they're sleeping on the street to do that. Now my question to you is, are people showing that type of dedication, and intensity on what it takes to buy your product as they do Apple? Or are you the one basically beating down everybody's door trying to get in front of them, hoping that a certain percentage of your people buy from you? Well, I'll tell you this, is that the high value people in this world don't operate that way. They don't sit here and try to do that. Apple doesn't do that. In fact, not only does Apple not do that, but they set prices for all their stores, so you can't even price shop and say, okay, I'm going to get it from this store or this store or this store, because they mandate a price to all their retailers. So if you want it, it's on their terms, on their timetable, and you know what? And they have a cachet, and they know that people are going to literally go vagrant and go purposefully homeless to get their product early. And they know those people are going to be on the news, and it's going to go national, and all of a sudden this whole dynamic of crowd wisdom is going to take place. So instead of you having to beat down people's doors, you can really influence people through crowd wisdom, social proof to get there. So how do you do that? Well, I'll give you a really easy way to do that. You need to tie your products to an event. So if you're selling a product and you want to sell it to one-on-one, you can do that over and over again, but you're completely missing the boat and you're completely sacrificing this massively powerful tool that will make people do almost anything to get your product. You need to tie your product to an event. Why are events so powerful? Well, one, because people look forward to them. A perfect example of this, and this is something that you can apply in your business, is basically what the NFL does with the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowl is the same week every year. It's going to happen every year, about the same time every year, and two teams are going to play, one of them is going to win, blah, blah, blah. But there is an event. They start advertising that event early. I mean, way early. And even the TV shows that are coming on after the Super Bowl, those are advertised way early. And even in addition to that, the commercials in the Super Bowl are teased months in advance because they want people, anticipating and they want people just geeked out of their mind to find out what it is. So it's not just you turning on a football game in the beginning of February and really two good teams, there'll probably be a good game, we'll see who wins. But instead, it's months and months and months of stoking that anticipation. Get you to that point where you've blocked off your calendar and it's pretty much a national holiday at this point. So how can you apply that type of thing in your business? I mean, we're not the NFL. I mean, how are we going to do that, right? Well, it's actually really simple. Again, tie it to an event. So again, some of these things that we're talking about, they definitely interrelate to each other. So remember we talked about expert social proof. Well, when you get in front of groups of people, you can actually set up a schedule where you're meeting at this time and this time and this time, and you can set topics that you talk about and lead it into a product that you want to sell people. And the whole idea of this is that when people start seeing your messages and hearing your voice and you're in front of them, it's basically giving them increasingly high value, and they're realizing, wow, this is really helping me out. That when you come in at the end and all of a sudden you're saying, hey, we're going to do this time and I'm going to introduce this new product that I have out, not only is it just them, but they know there's hundreds, dozens, hundreds, thousands of people out there that are going to be part of this. And it's not just having this as a communal event, but it's also tying it in. So, when you're doing this, and a guy that I know, Jeff Walker, does this really, really well, is when they have the event, it's a live event. So he'll actually give feedback about how many people have bought it, how many seats are left if it's a limited type of thing that he's doing. And it gets to a point where you can see the Facebook feed, the Twitter feed, the hashtag, and you're basically getting a play-by-play account of what's going on. And so as you're going through this, it's really, really powerful because you can see that basically there is a growing tide of people that are buying this. And the last thing you want to do is basically be left out of an opportunity that doesn't happen very much. So, and not only is it, when we say event, and what I mean by that was when we say event, is it's not just a kickoff point and this product is offered, infinitely, but basically you have something where the product's offered at a given price point for a specific period of time. And so if you build up this kind of tsunami of anticipation, then you see people that are buying this, are excited, they're throwing comments on social media. It begins to have this realization in the person's mind that, wow, all these people can't be wrong, right? All these people can't be wrong, and immediately, before you know it, your hand's on your wallet, credit card's coming out, and you're on your mouse ready to hit click. Now let me ask you this. Is that type of enthusiasm for your product happening in your business? If the answer is no, you need to rewind this and play this over and over again, because these are things that can have a massive effect on your business. And the great part about it is no one else in your field is probably doing this. In fact, they're probably clueless about it. So anything and everything that you implement with this is basically putting you at a huge competitive advantage in your business. And to be honest, it'll make life easier. You'll have more compliant customers. You're not going to have to do the whole overcoming objections thing anymore, and your customer retention will be through the roof. So that's my lesson on social proof. I really hope you guys learned a lot from it. And again, it's like a tea bag. You just don't dunk the tea bag in the water once and expect to have tea. But really what I want you guys to do to really get the maximum impact out of this is I want you guys to play this over and over again. Rewind it, play it, take notes. If you have any questions, call me. My email address is at the bottom of the screen. Let me know what you think, what your opinions are, what questions you are. I would definitely love to help you out with this. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and I'll see you next time.